Postured. We are on episode 3, and I'm so excited to have you. And I got my girl in the building. This is my near and dear friend. She's going to introduce herself. She is very close to my heart. I love her. She's amazing. And we're going to get into EP3. You're definitely going to enjoy this episode. So, my girl, introduce yourself.
So, my name is Kelly Marie. I am a systems mindset coach. I also have a service-based business where we implement systems into other people's businesses to help them make money but still have like work-life balance without sacrificing the nice paycheck.
Yes. So you guys, me and Kelly met in college. And the story is so funny. So I was working at the leasing office, and my manager, at the time I was doing marketing, and then I was like a leasing consultant, and I was the RA for the building because it's like college days. And my manager, he was like, I want you to meet this girl. You guys are going to click so well. And I was like, okay, I'll meet her. And I don't know if I could tell all the details. So I'm going to leave it. I mean, how can I tell details or no?
I mean, you go ahead. I don't know what you're about to say.
Yes or no?
You can go. You can tell the details. Don't say names though.
I'm not gonna say names. So I worked in the lease office with a bunch of women, and my manager was a guy, and we knew Kelly as his girlfriend. Like, oh, there goes such and such girlfriend. Mm-hmm. So that's how, when he was like, oh, when he introduced his girl, I was like, oh yeah, that's his girlfriend. But we didn't know officially. We would just joke around because we just saw you guys together sometimes. But he was just like, I think you're really going to like her. You're into marketing. She's into marketing. I think at the time you were the spoiled writer. Mm-hmm. So like you were just launching your copywriting business. It was going so well. And from there, what happened from the spoiled writer to the spoiled coach to now Coach K. Marie? Tell us about that transition with your personal brand, because everybody knows you as the spoiled coach. Yeah. Anytime I talk about you, I'm like, Kelly, yeah, my girl Kelly, the spoiled coach. So tell us about that transition. How you even came up with the spoiled branding for your personal brand?
Yeah, so I started as a spoiled writer because I was a copywriter, but the spoiled piece came from growing up. People would always call me spoiled because I'm a third-generation entrepreneur.
Yep.
And so people would say, oh, you're spoiled, you're spoiled, you're spoiled. And that was like their caveat for like, oh, you're good at things or you're successful or whatever because you're spoiled. And things were handed to you. And I'm like, no, I could still outwork you. So I took the spoiled part and I was like, this is going to be a part of my brand because I want people to know, like, you can take things that people say about you that are bad and you can turn them into money.
Yeah, so you pretty much turned the shade into some money.
Yes.
Because people were trying to say like, oh, because you grew up in Johns Creek.
Yeah.
So she grew up on the other side of town. Mm-hmm. Me, I grew up on the east side, like Stone Mountain, Lithonia, Panola Road. If you know, you know. My girl over here grew up in Johns Creek, so most of her classmates were
white, Asian, Indian, everything except for black.
Did you ride the bus?
I did ride the bus.
Oh, wow. Humble beginnings then. I
rode the bus with a bunch of racists. So it was just as hard, just from a different angle. Yeah.
Wow.
And she wasn't expecting me to say that.
No, I was not, because our upbringings are totally different, because I went to a school that was all black. We only had one white student and one white teacher. That's it. Mm-hmm. Everybody else was black. We had a couple of Asians. We had a couple of... that's it. Black, like Asian.
A sprinkle.
It was sprinkled in there. But even then, they were still black-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were a part of the culture.
Black with a Q.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you started off as the spoiled writer. You started off with the copywriting offer, and then eventually you developed into a business coach. Mm-hmm. And I know that when you talked about generational entrepreneurship, your parents are entrepreneurs. I'm familiar with your mom. I've worked with her on some projects with her styling. And then I know your dad, his name's like Mr. Flip Houses or something. Mm-hmm. So like you had the foundation to be an entrepreneur. But at the same time, do you feel like that helped you develop your personal brand as a professional?
I think so. And I had a little bit of an identity crisis because sometimes when your parents are so good at something and everybody knows they're good at that thing, then your parents expect you to also take on those personal brand traits, but you want to be your own person.
Okay. So the foundation of your upbringing was did you have to go to college? Was it optional? Was it drilled into you? Like, what was that experience like coming from a house of entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I didn't have to go to college, but there was a lot of structure in my house. And so I think my parents thought, she needs that structure, but it turned out that I didn't really need the structure. I mean, not to say that I wasn't a wild college kid, because I was.
You had a time.
Yeah, I had a time. A time was had. If there's no time had, you didn't go to college. So
these are friendly facts.
Stories. And, yeah, but it wasn't really a requirement. It was more like you figure out what it is that you're good at and what you want to do. But in the meantime, you're going to work in my business. So I did have to work in their businesses.
Wow.
Both of their businesses and my aunt's business, because she's a entrepreneur as well.
Wow. So you had the foundations to become an entrepreneur and build out your personal brand in that industry. So that made you multifaceted, and you got to hit the ground running, essentially, because you had the support and the systems in place to be a successful entrepreneur. And on the flip side, for me, I grew up where everybody just worked, like 10-hour shifts. My mom and my grandma and my aunts, they just worked traditional jobs. And entrepreneurship was not really pushed or even something I was really aware of until I got to college. And just through the experience of meeting so many people, joining organizations on campus, and then meeting you, it all kind of just came together. So when I met you, I had a really successful wig line, and I would make custom wigs for the girls on campus, and everybody knew me as the girl who makes wigs on campus, and I was working at the beauty supply store. But when I met you, that's when I started to make, either I was in transition or started to making that transition into offering digital services, because you just opened up that new world to me. And I was like, you doing what on Instagram, making what? I'm just using Instagram as a scrapbook. I'm just using Instagram as, I'm going to this party or on campus or homecoming, or Instagram for me wasn't a way to make money. Instagram was just a scrapbook.
Yeah.
But for you, when you got into the social media space, how did you approach that?
Yeah. I just wanted to get exposure, because I'm a natural salesperson. So I knew that if I could get in front of the right person, I would be okay. And that's what I was doing at the time. I was working at Men's Warehouse, and I was a salesperson. And so I knew, like, okay, I need to figure out who's the person that needs to buy from me, and how can I get in front of that person and a lot of those people as much as I possibly can. Because there was no doubt in my head, like, you could sell anything to anybody.
Because when you were on Instagram making money, this wasn't a time where people were talking about content strategy. It just was not a thing. Just preface, I'm telling what year we're in.
2017. So it was the blog era.
Yes, it was blog era.
It was the blog era. Like,
yes.
You go online and, like, read, like, pages and pages and pages of blogs.
Yeah.
That's what was happening.
So it was a different era. It's no strategy, no algorithm, no reels, I'm trying to think if DMs came out. DMs probably came out around this point.
Yeah, DMs were out.
Yeah.
Live was not out.
Live was not out. No reels.
No videos longer than 60 seconds.
Yeah, this was like old school Instagram, and she was making money. And I know that, your family also had the Natural Girls Rock brand, and then you came out with the Spoiled Writer, and eventually you transitioned to the Spoiled Coach. And this name came from people throwing shade at you, and you turned that into your full brand, so much so that you have it tatted on your wrist.
Yeah.
So you're true to the brand.
Yeah, I'm true to the brand. People are always like, oh my God, you did. I'm like, yeah, I stand behind my stuff.
Would y'all get y'all brand tatted? I'm the personal brand Barbie. I don't have any tattoos. I probably won't get any. But would you get your personal brand tatted on you? Are you that committed to it? Because if you're not, look, my girl right here is stamped, signed, sealed, and delivered, and you really believe in that brand. And I think that's so beautiful when it comes to building a personal brand. It's like, I stand behind this 10 toes. And I think something else that's funny is, like, even when it comes to your style, because I'm all about styling. I styled. Me and you reconnected after college for me to style you for your photo shoots, which bloomed my agency. So there would be no Brazen Agency if it was not for this girl right here. Which means there would be no Posture Podcast if it was not this girl right here. She just noticed I had an eye for creative direction and styling, and she invited me on set for her during the boom of her business, and I would just style her. First, I came on set to help coordinate, and I was like, "What are you wearing?" He was like, "I don't know. I just threw some clothes in the bag." She literally threw random clothes in the bag. I mean, nothing matched. It was just like, you was running out the house and was just like, this is pink, this is a color, this is a color, throw it in the bag. And then I opened the bag, I said, oh, okay, so I'm going to take my sweater off, I'm going to give you this piece, and this piece. I'm going to put it, you remember that photo shoot? I'm going to put it together. I think it was a confetti photo shoot we did.
Yeah.
And, we made it work. It was hot. My girl came in with some hot pink eyeshadow. And we shot on a pink shirt. Kelly, she took this spoiled coach to a whole different route.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everything bubbly pink. But that was the first time we connected, and from there, like, my wheels started turning. And in college, I used to make graphics on Canva for people in Photoshop, which I kind of sucked at. But this is 2015, 16, 17. So the standard of design was just not what it is today.
Yeah, not at all.
People were paying me like $10, $15 to make flyers. And I was like, okay. And there was no templates on Canva, y'all. This is raw.
Yeah. Canva didn't used to have templates.
Canva did not. You were on your own. So, baby, you were on your own. There was no elements. I don't even think it had photos in there yet. Like, you're importing everything.
Yeah, it didn't have photos in there yet.
No, you had the font, the colors.
They just turned 10.
Wow.
So Canva was 3 years old.
Wow.
2 or 3 years old.
Yeah, so Canva, I was making my bread and butter on Canva before it even boomed, before, I think it was free. It wasn't even a paid service at the time. But I was making graphics for girls in college, and then I went off to start my corporate career. And then Kelly called me and was like, hey, can you stop me for the shoot? And then after that shoot, she was like, hey, can you direct this other shoot? She just kept having shoots, y'all. This girl just loved being on camera. And then it just kind of developed from there. And I was like, wait, let's work on messaging. Let's talk about these aspects. And it helped me grow my business from there. And then I started accepting clients for consulting and coaching, and really started to develop myself as a personal brand strategist. So that was a journey that started with you, and this is right before the pandemic. So like my baby was young. So 2020, I feel like this is right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
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 So around 2020 is when I started that personal branding strategy journey, and it's just blossomed since then. But the foundation of that was my friend pushing me forward to support her. And I think that all comes down to stewardship. Mm-hmm. And I think in serving, because some people think if I'm not getting paid, I'm not going to do it. Or I've never done this before, so why should I do it now? But for me, it's like I didn't hesitate to answer the call. Yeah. So how do you feel about stewardship?
I feel like people should do things for free before they do things getting paid. I'm old school. I'm like I'm all for we have bills to pay, but I think if you accelerate the process by doing things for free and building out your portfolio and having reviews, then you can get to the paid part faster. But how do you want somebody to pay you for something you have no proof that you can do it?
Yeah, so does proof of concept start with doing free work? Mm-hmm. And so,
free or discounted, either one.
Yeah, I think anytime you're coming out the gate with your personal brand, you need to start doing some free work. And that comes with networking, making connections. Again, I was introduced to her from my manager, but I was working in my calling when I was doing it. He didn't say, oh, Ji'Brayah, you're cool. We had 6 girls on the staff, but he didn't propose that any of them connect with you. It was me, because he saw that, oh, you're in your calling, you're in your work, you're doing this marketing thing, you're making graphics. I want to connect you with my friend. She's a copywriter. And that's how we made that connection, because we were both doing what God had called us to do at that time. Even if we didn't have all the pieces together, we were moving in a forward direction. So somebody was there to mend us together, and it's blossomed my brand and my business, and maybe for you as well. But I think that your calling is going to start with stewardship. It's going to start with serving. You're going to have to do some free work. If you want to get paid the big bucks. You can't come out the gate thinking you're going to charge $10,000 for something you have no proof of concept for, no testimonials.
Regardless of what the internet girls tell you.
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
Okay? That $19.99 ebook that say
it's a lie.
6 figures to 7 figures trigger, it's a lie.
It's a lie.
Everybody starts doing free work. You can't skip that step. And people who do skip that step end up getting burnt in the end, because they kind of go in. People say they suffer from imposter syndrome. Some people are just really out here just imposters. Yeah. And they ride that wave until it dies out. And once it dies out, it's hard to get back on it, because you have no foundation set. You come out the gate teaching something you've never done. And then you teach it, you rinse and repeat, you teach it, and then people start calling your bluff, and you have nothing to go back to, because you never offered a service for something that you teach. Right.
And it's a lot of the reason why people don't have confidence when they're selling, or they have, like you said, that imposter syndrome, and they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm a person, I don't know. Well, how many times have you done this? Because if you've done it for free, even 2 or 3 times, if you've done it for free, then you have no hesitation to say, oh, this is definitely worth this much, because I remember how much work I did in order to do it. So the confidence comes more naturally when you've done that for free, or if you've done it for a discounted price a couple of times.
So to get into launching a personal brand, what we're basically saying is you're gonna have to work for free. Now, how do they determine who's worth working with for free?
It has to be a give and take. So it's not always like, oh, this is a celebrity, so I'm going to do something free for a celebrity. Because it could be anybody that has something that you need. So it's like an exchange. So I guess I shouldn't say free. I guess I should say you're looking for situations where you can barter. Because
barter.
You want to look for a barter situation. And there are literally Facebook groups for business owners that are based around bartering. So like if you need a photo shoot and the camera person needs a website, you guys can switch. So you did the work and they did the work. You got something out of it. They got something out of it. And now you have a review. Both of you guys have reviews. You can move forward and confidently charge.
I think social media has definitely made it hard for people to understand the power of bartering. Because we're being fed to get to the bag, get to six figures, know your worth, add tax. But if you multiply zero multiplied by anything is going to be zero. So you have to have a foundation to set on. So don't feel like you're too good or too mighty to barter, especially when you're starting out or if you're pivoting. Because sometimes we want to move into something we've never done before and charge as if we've done it. And it doesn't quite work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
And we can all tell that y'all haven't done it before. Like, we can tell from the outside looking in as consumers if this is real or not real. Or if it's been done before or not been done before, or if you have low confidence or high confidence.
Yes. Girl, we ain't even gonna get started on that, but we can see it. So I think there is a difference between actually being an imposter and imposter syndrome. Some people have imposter syndrome because they've been working as an imposter for several years and they're kind of being exposed, and instead of going back to the drawing board and they don't have a drawing board to go back to because they never offered the service. They just went straight into coaching. So I can't even say go back to the drawing board because ain't no drawing board.
Yeah. You
didn't get it out the mud. You just kind of came into it and said, I opened up one Airbnb apartment. Now I'm going to teach you how to open up 10.
Yeah.
And you didn't even successfully do the first thing.
Yeah. It'll catch up to you eventually.
Yeah.
You may not feel it at first, but.
And I think that's the spiritual aspect of it, in which I had a conversation on social media months ago, was like, that's where that burnout for so many coaches has happened because they went so fast, so far, but it's like a tidal wave. And as soon as a wave comes crashing down, you're like, oh, wait, I never had a boat. I never had a boat. I was just coasting thinking that, I built this thing up. But once the wave set, he's like, oh, crap. I can't sit back into sea because I never had a foundation set to begin with. I went straight into I'm going to be everybody's coach instead of saying, okay, I'm going to be the spoiled writer first. I'm going to do copywriting. I'm going to help people build their website, build their emails, build their messaging. Do this for several years. After I have that experience, those testimonials, I can become the spoiled coach because I was the spoiled writer and I developed those skills and I got into it. And then I did some free work. They may have came to me for copywriting, but then I began to add strategy to that copywriting. Then I said, hey, while I'm writing your emails, how about we implement it into this funnel, right? So is that how that transition happened for you?
Yeah, and I started teaching people about how to copyright, and I was using systems for myself. And so I would just openly share that information, and people were, well, do you have a class on this? Well, can you guide me through this? Can you coach me? So I let it happen naturally. I didn't force it. I didn't rush it. And honestly, I don't make most of my money from coaching. I make most of my money from services.
Girl, that's the other T. The real T is that a lot of times for a lot of people, while on the outside it seems like coaching is the way to success, it's a done-for-you services that pad your pockets. I have a $10,000 done-for-you service called Iconic Brand Boost or something, and basically entrepreneurs come to me to brain dump. Hey, I have this idea and I've never been able to execute it. Here's my journal. I say, okay, based on me talking to you and looking into the notes you've taken, what we need to build out is your retreat, your course, and a coaching or consulting program, right? I take all that in, I develop the messaging, the branding. Then I call my girl, the system specialist. Hey, Kelly, these are the things I need to build out for my client. She wants to do a course. She wants to do a consulting offer in X, Y, and Z. So I'm not manning this alone. It's a $10,000 offer, but I'm not pocketing this $10,000. That's another thing we got to tell them. It's a $10,000 offer. I'm not pocketing it all. I take the concept from my client. I build out the skeleton of it. Then I'll call my friend who's experienced in building out systems. I say, hey, Kelly, we need to build out a sales page, a funnel, and a course. I feed Kelly all the information. She does her sales systems magic. And then I deliver that to the client. Now, it's a $10,000 service. I'm paying Kelly X amount, is X, Y, and Z. I pay somebody, a dub title specialist, another amount. And then I'm putting all these plans in place. So, no, you don't pocket the whole $10K. That's not what they're not telling you that part either. But you're adding value because essentially, if you know how to delegate your service, you pitch that to your client. This is the service I have for you. You go and hire a team who can put it together, and then you deliver that package to your client. Then you can get on social media and say, if I was you, this is how I would build out my program. Then you start to put yourself in that coaching hat, but it's because you've already experienced a successful done-for-you service, right?
Yeah. So you have to build a team, and not team in the sense of payroll, but you have to build a team of different personality areas. So you're a visionary and you're a connector.
Yes.
So you're able to see the vision and then you can bring the people together. I'm an integrator. I can't necessarily see the overall vision of where this is going, which is why when I put on clothes, I just throw clothes together. I'm like, whatever, what are we doing today? Because I'm an integrator. I get things done. And your client, she would be probably a visionary.
Yes.
But most entrepreneurs are visionaries.
Yes.
And they need integrators and or they need connectors to get them to the right people. Like PR specialists are connectors.
Yes.
They connect people together.
Yes.
So you have to have that like understanding of who am I outsourcing to that has a different skill set than I do. Everybody's outsourcing. Nobody's doing anything by themselves. I know people like
tell
to
the
be
truth
like,
and shame the devil.
People like to be like, this is not the same 24 hours Beyonce has. No, it is. But sis is outsourcing. She's got a whole team. She's not directing that show and choreographing, and she's not handing out waters to people and building stages. And no, she's doing her part, and she's sharing that revenue with all the other people that are helping her execute that vision that she has.
Exactly. You know, it takes me to my favorite Bible verse, which is the Proverbs 31 woman. And people always talk about, I want to be a Proverbs 30 woman. Baby, she had servants. She had a team. She was a noble wife because she was able to delegate these things. Her husband can trust her and she will greatly enrich his life. Proverbs 31:11. The thing is, if you want to be successful in your personal brand, you have to know how to delegate. If you want to be successful in your business, you have to know how to delegate. You can't rock the boat by yourself. I think so many people run to the comfort of coaching because it's like, I get to be the face, I get to be the captain, I get to be the lieutenant, I get to be the executor, the connector, and then 6 months into it, oh, I'm burnt out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you didn't have the ability to delegate these things to other people because maybe you didn't have no SOP, you ain't have no formula, funnel, foundation to even teach somebody this because you're just throwing things at the wall. So coaching is easy to put that coaching hat on and put that coaching name in your bio and in your Instagram name because you're not going to be able to translate what you do to other people and get a finished product done because you've never finished a product.
Or never finished anything. Because your personal life comes into your business life too. The great thing about personal branding is that it makes you take a look at who you are. And when you start to say, okay, if I'm building a personal brand, that means I get to decide who I'm going to be and how people are going to look at me. It's going to force you to start to work on yourself.
Yes.
And that's why when you do the personal branding and you have a personal branding guide or mentor, it domino effects to the rest of your business. And it's like, oh, now I'm making more money. Oh, because you fixed your attitude. Because you don't want people to think that you have an attitude. Because that's not a part of your personal brand.
Ooh, so it's the posture.
It's the posture.
It's the posture. And I think that's it's the posture. And I think it's also the authenticity of it. I had a interest call the other day, and she was like, I've been following you for years, and I just loved how you've been transitioning your brand, and this personal brand, Barbie, fits you so much. But when I saw you make that reel of you and your daughter going to the tennis open in Atlanta, and you guys had on your tennis skirts, I was like, oh, no, this is really her all the time. And I was like, yeah, I am my personal brand.
This is really her all the time. By the way, if y'all are wondering, this is really her all the time.
All the time. And I was like, are you shocked? Why are you shocked that I am who I am on Instagram in real life. Your personal brand is what I tell people, it's a more polished version of yourself. It still has to be authentic, but polished. When we try to emulate somebody else's brand, or we try to, if I went for a more edgy approach and the fire flame and the all black and the leather, that's not me. It's not authentic. I know that me, yes, I'm a very like bright, bubbly, beautiful, stylish kind of girl, but I'm also a tough love person. So I had to mix those two things together, and I was like, it's Barbie, because Barbie tells you you can do anything, you can be empowered, but she also says like, girl, we have to go, we have to get things done. So being authentic has helped me explode my personal brand. And I think for a lot of people, once you find the authenticity in your calling, it becomes easier for you to serve other people and to be a good steward. Yeah, you just can't fake that. You cannot fake that. You can only fake the funk for so long before you end up, quote unquote, burnt out.
Yeah.
So, I think what we can take from Kelly's situation is coming from a household of entrepreneurs and not just saying, okay, well, my mama was a coach, so I'm just going to put on this coach hat. No, let me start with the copywriting aspect. Let me show people that I do work, and I do good work. The Lord tells her to do good work with your hands. Okay? I do good work, and then from there, I can develop that into...
Right. Whatever people ask you for. The demand has to be there. Yeah, the demand has to be there too. So you can't be stuck in, okay, if I said I was going to be a copywriter, I'm going to be a copywriter. And if you have an audience, it doesn't matter if it's small or large. If the demand's not there, then you have to change. That's why we have only a few companies, in America at least, we only have a few companies that have been around for a long time because they changed with the demands.
Yes, that's a good gem for her to drop on us. So, one, when it comes to building your personal brand, if you're new to the game, you're going to have to do some free work. You're going to have to barter to start out with. You can't get away from that. From there, you start to create a demand because you're documenting this free work that you're doing, and people say, oh my gosh, I've been needing this, I've been needing that. Then you can develop your offers based on that demand, not based off of what you see somebody else doing, but what people are asking you to do. From there, you build that done-for-you service suite. You do a great job at it. You get your testimonials. Then you can eventually put on your coaching hat and teach other people what you have learned and done successfully. And that's when you can put on the coaching hat. And once you put on that coaching hat, you may find that while this is a great experience and coaching people is awesome, the foundation of my revenue is going to continue to be that done-for-you service, but that coaching aspect helps with my brand visibility and my thought leadership, right?
Yeah. And coaching is not, I want to say this, coaching is not the only way you can get to 7 figures. Coaching is not all that it's cracked up to be. It is, I have coaching days where I'm like mentally exhausted and emotionally exhausted because when you're coaching, people will bring you all of their problems.
Personal, spiritual, financial.
Everything. And just like throw it up on you. So it is very emotionally taxing. And so you don't have to be a coach, because I think that's one thing that we're seeing right now too, is everybody saying coaching. But no, there are other things you can do that are not directly coaching somebody. So there are a lot of different ways to expand those revenue streams without that.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. There's several ways for you to expand your revenue stream. Just because Tasha's doing it doesn't mean that you need to do it. Find your flow. I tell everybody that your purpose is already set in stone. When God made you in your mother's womb, he knew you. So you already had a purpose. That's to worship and glorify him. The calling, that's what you do with your hands at your work. For Kelly, that started off as a copywriting, moving into coaching, and now as a systems specialist. And for me, that started off as just being somebody who holds other people's ladders. I'm going to fix your hair. I'm going to do this. I'm going to style you. I want to make sure that you're put together. And eventually that developed into me being a personal brand strategist. Okay? Now, my girl Kelly has an event coming up real soon. So Kelly, give us the details before we drop for this upcoming event. And the girls really need to be in the room, and I'm going to be on stage, so pull up.
So in Atlanta on October 20th and 21st, we're having a 2-day conference called the Simplify and Scale Conference. It's curated for service-based business owners and or coaches who want to grow their business to the 6-figure plus mark without working more than 25 hours a week.
So who should be in the room? Mamas,
anybody who wants to do that.
Working mamas.
If you're stressed out right now, then you need to be there, because there's no way you should be working more than 25 hours a week to make $8,000 a month. There's just no way.
Really?
It's overworking. I mean, if you think about like when you were going to work, if you're going to work 9 to 5, corporate career job, you're not spending 40 hours actually working.
No.
You're spending hours, you're going to the bathroom, you're taking a smoke break, you're going for a long lunch that nobody told you could have. Like, you're spending a lot of hours, like, fiddling and twiddling your thumb. So if you really take a look at the hours that you're actually sitting down, focused, and intentionally working, it's only about 25 to 30 hours.
Awesome. So what are they going to walk away from at this conference? Like, what are they going to walk away with?
So you'll walk away with a strategic plan mapped out for you to start scaling back your hours, and also an automated sales system mapped out so you can start using things like Facebook ads to automatically, generate your leads, so you're not totally relying on the Instagram algorithm.
Ooh, y'all, them automated systems, they matter. Kelly's building out mine now for the, should I tell them? For the Postured Personal Brand Academy. Yeah, so be in the room October 20th and October 21st. And I'll see you guys there. So thank you for joining us for Postured Podcast, episode 3. And we cannot wait to see you guys next week. See ya.
Bye.